everybody, and welcome to True Crime Banter, the podcast aimed at bringing you your dose of murder relaxation. So, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode.
The best Mike Myers movie of all time, The Love Guru. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the True Crime Banter podcast.
Hi.
I want to start off real quick by saying, if you guys do hear any big, loud bangs, pops, booms, or other onomatopoeia sounds,
we chose a really good time to do this.
Yes, it is 9:30 at night on the 4th of July. So you know that fireworks are going off
whatever. You're
around
probably
here.
Hearing them too, so whatever.
So I hope you guys are, happy 4th of July to all of you that celebrate it. And then happy every other regular 4th of July to everyone else. Today, you will be taking charge once again.
Yes.
It's almost like I have nothing to do with this podcast anymore, but to
hey,
introduce
you set
you.
everything up. You know all the wires.
That's true. That's true.
All the buttons.
Yeah, and we do have a video podcast for this one. I'm trying a little something new on the production side of this, so we're gonna see how things go.
Yeah.
But before, I know we've got a ton of shout outs. Is that right?
Yes.
Decent amount.
Yeah. Do you have any?
I've got a few. Yeah.
Okay.
And I wanna end the shout outs because the last shout out that I have will lead into my small bit of banter.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, but before we do you want to give it any little insight as to what today's case is gonna be?
I always forget. I say this every time to do a teaser. I always forget this. I guess I could just think on the fly real quick.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could just say that this is one that you've been looking forward to doing for a while.
Which I have a few of those, and that won't be the last time I say that. There's a lot that before even thinking a podcast was like a viable option at all.
Yeah.
There was certain cases that I just talked about all the time. That, I don't know, I feel like maybe like a top 10, I guess.
Right, yeah.
And I've already done a few of them,
Yeah.
so I guess I'm just kind of going through the list eventually. Yeah. But I was like, you know what? I love this one. And I ended up finding out a lot more stuff than I had known originally, which I thought I knew everything. So this is an older case, early 1900s. And spoiler alert, it never got solved, which only adds to the creepiness of it that you'll see. There's a lot of components in it. It's not just black and white. There's a lot of creepy stuff involved in this one that kind of leaves you guessing. And the fact that it's really old, we're probably never going to get any answers for it, which kind of keeps the mystery going.
Yeah, I'll say that of all of the different episodes that we've listened to throughout all of the true crime, this is one of the few episodes that I can remember my first time hearing it and what I was doing while I was listening to it.
Right.
Which is, I think, says a lot sometimes because, granted, sometimes we're just listening on road trips.
Yeah.
So, being able to remember and put myself into the first time I heard this, I was like, okay, all right, I'm excited for this one. So spoiler alert, yes, I do know this case, but if you guys don't, or even if you do,
and you might not know everything, because I thought I knew it, right?
Okay,
anyway.
Come on.
Anyway.
All right, well, let's get into some shout-outs.
Yeah.
How about that?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try to, not whip through them, but I'll try to go kind of fast, because there is a few. So, somebody by the username of Aaron Dean 66, which I'll have to go back to him in a minute, but he commented on the recent Hello Kitty case, which a lot of these were comments on that case that we just did. If you haven't listened, definitely go back. It was the one we just did. Another really creepy, gross, gruesome if you're into that stuff. Go check it out. But he said, "No more Hello Kitty gift for my daughter, ... I can't remember what I said. Something like she doesn't need to know or something, But yeah, so there's that one. And then one of our Ride or Dies, M3 True Crime Pod, commented.
So actually, I started listening to their podcast, and I found out that they refer to it as the M-Cubed podcast instead of M3. And I was
Good
like,
to
okay, all right, so the
know.
M-Cubed podcast.
Okay,
yeah.
M-Cubed. They also commented on the Hello Kitty one saying, "This is a horrifying case, sad face."
If anyone's watching, our cat just jumped right in front of the camera.
It's all good. And then they said, "We definitely need a microdose of Christian spooky tales."
Ooh, all right.
So I'll get back to that in a minute
Yeah.
because I've had a few people on this last Hello Kitty one. I mentioned something about like I personally have had supernatural things kind of happen to me, paranormal kind of things.
Totally.
Riley's the skeptic here.
Well,
If you didn't already know, he hasn't
I'm not a
experienced
skeptic.
shit in his life, so he doesn't have anything to refer to. He's lived a boring
I
life.
think, I'm not a
So-
skeptic. I definitely believe that. all
No,
that
you
stuff
should see his
exists.
face. Anytime
but
I mention
I like to
aliens,
make
like
fun of
he
you.
has to turn away.
I'm very, what's the term we were talking about the other day? Agnostic, where I'm not going to say that something doesn't exist, but I'm also
Right.
not going to be like, it absolutely
But then
exists
when
if I
his
don't have the
fiance tells him
evidence
a
to.
very real story, he's like, sure, okay.
Was there
So,
alcohol involved?
listen. Okay, listen. If you guys want to hear, I'll let you
All right.
know.
Yeah,
if
yeah, yeah.
alcohol
We'll-
was
we'll let
involved,
the-
you'll
we'll
have
let
to
them
find
talk it.
out.
Talk
But
amongst
anyway,
themselves to
the
figure
Hello
it out.
Kitty one, there at the very end of it is just a little snippet of some supernatural things that happened. You can believe what you want, you know. But anyway, I threw it out there. I have my own stories. And it turns out that other people have messaged and commented that they also would like to hear some things that have happened.
Hell yeah.
So
Let's do it.
all I'm saying is if other people have stories that you want to tell me that I can then tell the public or whatever, like we can
Yes.
do a microdose
Yeah,
on
if
just
you guys
ghosts
have
and
ghosts,
aliens or whatever.
supernatural stories,
Yeah.
send them in,
Bigfoot
and we will do
stuff,
maybe like individualized
mermaids,
microdose
everything.
episodes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, so it turns out M-Cubed True Crime Pod is on board for that. So then
Sweet.
someone else by the name mommy_student_forever commented saying, "Ooh, can't wait to listen." Then quickly commented after that, apparently they had listened to the episode and said, "What the heck is this?" So they had commented saying like, "I'm excited to listen," and then clearly they like some time passed and they had listened to it and then commented saying, "What the heck is this? Like, what did I just listen to?"
Oh, okay.
So they
all right.
re-commented after listening and were like, "What the fuck?"
Okay,
basically.
okay.
Yeah.
I think in
Yeah.
that context, where if they comment it and then like 2 minutes later they comment,
No,
what
no,
the
no,
heck
no,
is
no.
this?
No.
It sounds like they're like, what the fuck are mouths? Who are these?
I mean, honestly, yeah, there's that too.
True. Yeah.
So then another OG, Michelle GB Packer fan, commented actually a really nice paragraph saying, "Yes, one I've been waiting for. This story ruined everything Hello Kitty for me. So effed up, but extremely fascinating at the same time. Thanks for all the banter during your episodes. It's like I have 2 new besties to shoot the shit with before my day is about to be ruined with another crazy ass story. I love the shit out of you two guys." Heart emoji.
Well then.
Yes. So then, the_Bree commented on the Hello Kitty one saying, "Chili powder?" ? Exclamation point. Because we had mentioned a gruesome detail involving chili powder in the Hello Kitty case. It's part of
Okay.
the torture method. If you don't remember, you'll
right,
have to
right,
go
right.
listen.
Yes.
So, side note, I don't want to get too far into this, but why are you looking at me like that?
I'm just letting you talk.
But this girl that commented actually is an old high school friend of mine.
Oh.
So she's actually like a friend of my sister's who then became a friend of mine by association, you know, kind of thing. And so, you know, we had like some mutual friends, whatever. So she actually had reached out kind of recently because I had posted a story about.
Wait.
Are you going to talk
No,
about?
I want to bring that up.
Oh, okay.
After my shout
Yeah, that's fine.
because
Then
that's
I
going to be my
will-
bit of banter.
Okay.
Yeah, I want you to be the star of the bit of banter. But
Okay.
you
The
know,
star of anything. I'm
Yeah.
down. You know that. Okay. So then we'll come back to that. So
you are
anyway.
the star of my life.
Yes. So then privately she messaged, we'll get back to that, but she had mentioned also she has some like supernatural stuff too, and she's like super on
Okay.
board for a microdose thing. So we
Supernatural,
have
okay.
another one on the
I
bandwagon,
hear
guys.
a bias section of banter or shout-outs going on over there
I'm just
where
saying.
you're trying to push an agenda.
No,
right now.
listen, guys. I put it out there. Say it and they will come. That is what happened.
all
They
right, if you
just
say so.
I can't help who pops in the DMs, guys,
Mhm.
okay? But I love every single one of you. So anyway, So we'll come back to that. And then, not last one, but almost there. Somebody by the username of Mess of Whimsy, who I believe we've talked about before, said, "Ooh, me too on the spooky stories. Bring it."
Of course. Weird.
Listen, these are all.
And
listen,
I got one over here that says Christian H. that says, I want to hear about her spooky stories. And then there's another one that says Christian the Third. I also want to hear about her spooky stories.
Listen, you guys, these are real peeps, I'm pretty sure. So anyway, so then this one was actually not on the Hello Kitty one. This is on the Henry Mccabe case that you actually covered like a month or two ago.
Yeah.
And they said, I just wanted to reach out and say that I heard this one on another podcast, but you guys gave it a twist. My first thought was an alien abduction, and then they dropped him back, LOL. Either way, you guys are doing an amazing job. Enjoying all your episodes. Keep up the great work.
Oh, well, thank you. And what was that user's name again?
Shade Gray.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Yeah, in fact, that Henry Mccabe one was, I think, one of the first ones. That's where we really brought in the whole aliens type talk. We haven't really actually covered much, if anything. It sounds like we might, based on your stories.
Listen, just saying.
But that was the first one where I actually brought it to light in an episode because that could be a very viable option.
Yeah, and my first thought was actually Bigfoot in that one, and then someone said aliens. I was like, actually, that makes sense too. Like, we have options here, guys. Anyway, so then the last one I'm going to do, Aaron Dean, I mentioned him at the beginning, same guy, 6'6", Aaron Dean 6'6". He actually privately messaged, and I made sure that he actually said it was okay to put him on, say his name when he private messaged, but this was a couple episodes ago, but he didn't get back to me in time. So anyway, so he said, private message, quote, "This house is down the street from me, and every single time I pass by, I think of the psycho Herb and his mannequins," end quote. So he sent us a picture of two mannequins on like an upper level deck area, and I zoomed in. They seem to be two lady mannequins in bikinis wearing hats who are posed with their arms up waving. And if you guys haven't heard our Herb Baumeister episode, I think we did it a couple episodes ago.
Yeah.
And there are some creepy mannequins involved. So if that piques your interest and curiosity, go listen.
A farm, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So once you listen, you'll find that a lot funnier.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll post the picture he sent us because he sent me an actual picture of these creepy ass mannequins, and it's so funny.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, I do have a few shout outs also from YouTube. The first one is from someone named Nicholas Woods, and this is on the Diane Schuler case, which was episode 3 that we released. And I've gotten a few comments on that episode.
Okay.
A lot lately, actually. So I don't know what's going on with that episode. That was before you joined. Maybe people are realizing that not everything has to be supernatural, Christian. There's some true crime out there as well.
So, anyway.
No, Nicholas Woods says, "The case is very simple, horribly sad, but simple. She was an alcoholic and was using alcohol and marijuana to help cope with her struggles. Basically, they talk about the difficulties of, I guess, substance abuse.
Yeah.
But then they pose the question that, what if her husband was sick and tired of the way that she was acting, knowing that she was high, also spiked her or drugged her in a way to be like, you know what, I'm done with this shit." So if you guys don't know about that story, go back, episode 3, Diane Schuler.
Yeah,
a very interesting case because there's not a lot of answers to the questions that people have.
Right.
So, and then this last shout out, so I guess I only have two shout outs.
Okay.
Is from Melissa Pershing, and this is going to lead into our bit of banter.
Oh.
Because I think you're going to have a lot to say. So Melissa Pershing, and I showed you this comment the other day. She commented on the Nathaniel Barjona one.
Oh, yeah.
The episode that you covered.
Yep.
And she said, "I worked with Nathan Barjona at Hardee's in Great Falls, Montana. I was his supervisor, and he was my cook on overnights. A lot of the times it was just us two. This was so crazy. He dropped my name to his attorneys, trying to get me to testify on his behalf. Yeah, didn't happen."
No.
So I replied saying, "That's wild," because
Yeah.
it is...
that is a crazy freaking case.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is not often that people are, What's the game? How many steps away from Kevin Bacon? What's that? The six degrees of Kevin Bacon.
I've heard of that.
That's
but
the game,
that's
right?
A game?
Because, well, not a game, but it seems like every actor or actress out there is within 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
I've never heard of this in my life.
Really?
I've heard this saying, but I had no idea what it means. And
Yeah,
I'm
it's
still not
where
really
you
quite
like
sure.
you say like I don't know, Robert De Niro, and you're like, oh well, he worked with this guy who worked with this guy
Who worked with Kevin
Kevin
Bacon.
James or Kevin James.
Him too. He's a busy
Kevin
guy,
Bacon,
probably.
because Kevin Bacon's done so many different shows and TV movies.
Weird.
And so it's like, yeah, you can all within
that
6 people you
saying.
can connect them.
I'm gonna just
So,
start using that all the time.
being within 1 degree, basically, I guess, close quarters, knowing first person, someone who's committed a crime, like Mr. Barjona. If you guys don't know what he did, go back and listen to that episode. It's been, I don't know, I don't know if either of us have ever been that close or known somebody firsthand who committed that heinous of a crime.
Yeah, that one's gross. That one's got like cannibalism. That one's got a lot of stuff going on.
Until like recently though, where you go ahead, I'm gonna let you take it away. I'm gonna sip on some apple juice over here. If you want to talk about your friend from high school who brought it
kind
up,
of
well, the
yeah,
one
yeah,
in your shout outs
okay, yeah,
brought
yeah.
it up. So I'll let you continue that story now.
Okay, so Bree, the same one who commented about the chili powder, right? So so my sister sent me something. She works in the restaurant industry. Her schedule's a lot different. She's like up super late. So I woke up to like a couple links to like these news articles and then like some text messages at like freaking 2 a.m. And I woke up at like 8 or 9. I was like, what is this? And I clicked on it. And it's talking about, if you guys follow us on Instagram, I had posted a screenshot of the news article, at least the headline kind of portion of it, talking about how a crime happened in Shoreline, Washington, which is where I'm from. And it's just like 10-15 minutes north of Seattle. It's just like the most boring town or little city ever. Super safe. And you have like the most boring things that happen there. Anyway.
Especially where this crime took place. That's
Yeah.
like the...
And then in Shoreline, there's like a really nice little area closer to the water called Richmond Beach. Anyway, that's where this happened. And of course, I opened this article still half asleep. And the title reads,
Son, right?
Son accused of killing his mom. And then the second article said, man in Shoreline arrested for decapitating his elderly mother in Richmond Beach or whatever. And I'm like, what the right?
Yeah, so
like,
you sent me that, or you showed me that, and I was like, that's fucking
yeah, what is
weird.
that?
Like,
and of course I'm like, okay, Shoreline is so small. If you know, you know everybody. Everyone knows everyone. I'm like, there's no way that I don't know somebody who doesn't know somebody who knows this person or whatever, right? So anyway, so I'm reading the article, and it says he's 29, so that's how old I am, and there's only one high school in that little area. So I'm like, okay, that's the same high school I went to.
Like,
So I'm like kind of doing the math here, and I'm like, and then I open, I didn't see the name yet, but I saw the picture of the victim, and I almost instantly knew who it was because I'm like, wow, her face looks so much like this guy I went to high school with. I'm like, it has to be him. So then anyway, Googled the name, and then it came up, and it's Colin Baldassar.
that's a little creepy.
Last name, not Baltazar, Boldizar.
Okay.
Boldizar. Like, it's kind of funky, I think.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
All right, yeah,
Anyway,
we're gonna pronounce it.
It's
funnier
just
than that.
different. Yeah. So anyway, So then I posted something about the story, and then Bree, same girl from this chili powder thing, she messaged me anyway, and she was like, isn't this crazy? So she was friends with his girlfriend, so she knew him like that. He was in a couple classes of mine, but I think he did like a running start program, so he was mainly in the like community college after a freshman year. Anyway, he definitely floated around to different groups, but I was somebody that was like kind of friends with different groups, so I saw him kind of within all these groups. We kind of floated around. Anyway, he was always really weird, so it's just weird to know that I was quote unquote friends-ish,
Right, yeah,
with somebody who
Acquaintances,
chopped his mom's head off.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know too much now, but it's just weird to think that, like, and you know what? It really is like those people in the news things where you're like, something was always weird with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's
You
true.
just had a weird
There was
feeling.
something always weird with his eyes. Like, there was just, like, not anything there. But I just figured he was, like, socially awkward.
Yeah.
Not the best with people. He was always one of those guys that said the wrong thing at the wrong time. And you're like, dude, too soon. Like, no one says that. Like, just chill.
Yeah,
you know,
that
kind of
is-
thing. Super awkward with people. Never knew how to read the room. Like, just so weird. And, like, never really quite fit in anywhere. And, yeah, this kind of, I don't want to say makes sense.
Yeah.
But,
sadly,
yeah.
right?
Like, I would have never thought he would do something like this. You
Semi-avoidable,
never
but
think
not
that.
really
Yeah,
avoidable.
it's just weird to think,
No,
like, I had
now-
classes with someone like that.
If we want to take it a step further, the Christian route,
Oh, boy.
there's a few weird things that have happened in that area. Like someone from your guys' high school went missing, correct?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, maybe
That's
there's just
true.
maybe it's like that
He just
Stranger Things
disappeared.
place where just people start disappearing or something.
Yeah.
A little paranormal going on and just something's in the water
We
over
might cover
there.
that missing persons case, too,
Yes.
at some point.
Yeah, that
'cause
one is one that...
That's another one that girl, Bree, she knew him.
Okay.
Because that was in
Yep,
her
yep,
grade.
yep.
He just disappeared
I
one day.
remember. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's
so
a lot going on
so
here,
I
guys.
just would like to know, how does it feel? Because I
What?
know, no.
What are you gonna
Just
say?
how do you feel? Obviously, you don't have any connection to him.
No.
But it's just kind of, is it?
It was weirder the day that it happened. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
whatever. But, like, the day it happened, I was like, whoa. Like,
Because you're like, whoa, that's a regular person that I
Kind
knew
of
existed.
regular.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
You know what? I've got a quick story I could tell. No.
Maybe
I would
for
just say
microdose.
I'll just say that
This is a long
I have my
banter.
own version of
Oh,
first degree knowing
Okay.
somebody.
Kevin Bacon. Okay.
Exactly. So maybe for another time we'll talk about
maybe we'll
that.
do
but
microdose.
yeah.
Because then maybe you could string it in with my
supernatural.
weird stuff.
All right. Well, that is going to do it for our bit of banter.
Yes.
For sure, if you guys have anything that you want us to talk about on our next microdose episode, if we are gonna do supernatural, or if you guys
Yeah,
have crazy
seriously, you
stories that are
guys.
just no one would believe it's true,
I'll post
tell
something on
us.
our story too, like, hey, if you guys have weird stuff, send it to me, or like,
Yeah, because I think that's gonna be the next microdose episode. So,
Yeah.
well, that'll do it for the bit of banter. How about we go ahead and get right into the episode?
let's do it. I'm taking us way back in time to the early 1920s in Bavaria, Germany, to a farm called the Hinterkaifeck farm. The family residing here were husband and wife, Andreas and Cecilia Gruber, their widowed daughter Victoria, and Victoria's two children, Cecilia and Josef. They also had a live-in maid as well. This family and farm operated just as you think it would back then. All the women stayed home and tended to the children, while the maid helped around the home as well, and Andreas ran the farm. Everything was normal until some strange things started to happen, and the first one to notice was their maid. Apparently, she had started hearing voices when she was alone. She could never track down where they were coming from. And not only this, but she could have sworn she heard tapping sounds coming from inside of the walls. Some time goes by, and now she's hearing footsteps coming from the attic. She immediately runs to tell Andreas so he can go check it out. When he goes upstairs, he finds nothing. Their attic is set up like a big open space, so there isn't exactly anywhere to hide. He found no signs that anyone had been there either. No food or trash or footprints left in dust. Weeks go by, and the maid keeps hearing these sounds, and she keeps telling Andreas, who is growing increasingly frustrated with her, because each time it's found to be nothing. Several more weeks go by, and the maid is too shaken up and tells the family, I can't stay here one more night. Every time I'm here alone, I feel like I'm being watched and I just don't feel safe. So she quits that day. Over the next several months, the family is all working overtime as they still haven't found another maid, and everyone is pulling more weight than usual. It isn't until now that Andreas also starts to hear these bizarre sounds that the maid was talking about, and he brings it up to the family, who all eventually notice it too. The family decides to do a full-blown search. not only of the home, but the surrounding farm property as well, unfortunately resulting in nothing and no answers. Only shortly after this does the family notice some things have gone missing, most notably a set of spare house keys. And things only got weirder. The granddaughter, Cazalia, went missing one night, and nobody could find her. After searching for hours, they found her unharmed on their property, but she had no explanation how or why she was in the location she was. She didn't remember how she got there. All she knew is she was tired and confused. Upon returning home with Cazalia, something caught Andreas's eye on the counter. Sitting there was a newspaper. A newspaper that wasn't there before they left, and a newspaper that he wasn't subscribed to. To add to this creepy list of happenings, Andreas noticed someone had tried to break into his tool shed as well. It appeared the lock and surrounding wood had deep gashes and wood shavings left all over. It puzzled him because they were in such a remote area, he is certain he would have heard something, or someone, go into town on this big metal lock so violently. This brings us to the spring of 1922, when shit gets really real.
That was a good year. Just gonna put it at
1922.
Spring,
that was a good one.
Specifically.
Oh yeah,
Spring of 1922.
Good times. I hear all great things.
I'm saying I know the story, so I'm not gonna be butting in a lot.
Yeah, that's all right.
But the moment you see a newspaper you don't ever remember getting, and then what looks to be marks of people trying to break into any place of yours, I'm alarmed at that point.
Especially when you're set back, like you're on this is like
there's no
Germany in the woods property. Like you would hear something like you know, it's not like you're around a bunch of busy streets.
Yep, you don't
and
just have
cars
random
and
visitors saying,
no.
"Hey, folks, can you help me get here or there?"
Exactly.
You know? Yeah, but back to the one of the better years, 1922 spring.
There had been a snowstorm the night before, and Andreas gets up super early to get his day started. He goes to the back door and heads out, and what he sees wakes him the hell up. There are a set of footprints coming from the surrounding forest that walk right up to his back door. But there are not a second set of footprints going back.
Nah, fuck that. No, I'm getting the axe. I know that I'm getting the axe and I'm following the footsteps.
He wakes up his family in hopes that someone has an answer for him. Nobody knows anything, so now he's got to solve this. It's just too freaky and too bizarre. He checks every window and every other exit to try and find any exiting tracks or how someone would have gotten out, but he finds nothing. He does a whole sweep of the home, calling out to anyone who might be hiding and checking any crawl space they have, nothing. Andreas decides to head over to his neighbor, Lorenz Schlittenbauer, who had a farm nearby, just to see if he had noticed anything weird or if he could think of any explanation. Maybe he's just going crazy. You know, you just want somebody to kind of either have an explanation for you, put your mind at ease, or also be like, yeah, this is weird. Yeah. Lorenz was puzzled too, but offered Andreas an extra rifle for protection just in case anything was weird or anything happened. Andreas politely declines and just thinks he's going crazy and heads back home.
You're never just going crazy. And if you are, I mean,
this probably wouldn't be the first time something like this happened.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you being back then, but I mean, you're not going crazy if you see one-way footsteps.
Right.
You can't just make that up.
Yeah.
So, you got something to worry about.
Yeah. Not too long after this, the family does get some good news, though. They're able to find a maid. So a few weeks later, on March 31st, the new maid, Maria, shows up to start her new job. Unfortunately, what her and nobody else knew is a tragedy was awaiting them just around the corner, and her timing couldn't have been any worse.
Oh, Maria. I'm sorry.
Maria. 4 days later, on April 4th, a repairman shows up for a scheduled visit where he was hired to fix their feed machine for the livestock. He knocks on the door and waits a minute, and nobody comes. He knocks again, waits, still nobody. He can hear the dog barking, but other than that, dead silence, which is very strange for a working farm. The feeder he was there to fix was actually outside, not too far away, so he decides, I'll just get started and maybe someone will come greet me later. He does the job, and when he's finished, he goes to say goodbye and notices that the dog that was inside barking is now outside tied up. So he thinks, okay, somebody must have just let him out when I was working, and somebody must be inside, so I'll just go say goodbye really quick. Well, the back door where the dog was ended up being locked. The repair guy was just honestly confused and just trying to cover his bases, I guess. So he was like, you know what? I'm going to stop by the neighbor's house.
Yeah.
Just let them know that I was here because no one's answering here. I'm just going to you know what I mean? If somebody asks, I was here since I wasn't able to make any physical contact with anybody or anything.
Say, especially if he still needed to collect money or something,
right.
you know?
Yeah. So he let Lorenz know that the repair work was done and that he hadn't seen anybody all morning, but just to let them know that if he sees them, that he stopped by and he did what he was supposed to do, and, you know. Well, Lorenz, being a fellow farmer himself, knows that it's weird to not be up this early and to not be up and about, and so he decides he's just going to stop by real quick, check it out, because why not? So he gets to Hinterkaifeck and gets no response from the home. But he notices that the barn door is wide open, so he heads over and peeks inside. At first, nothing looked out of place, except the corner of the barn had a weird-looking pile. After taking a closer look, he finds 4 bodies under a pile of hay, all stacked on top of one another. Of course, Lorenz is freaked out and runs inside the home, where he unfortunately finds the baby and the maid deceased as well.
Yes, I forgot about that part.
Each one of them had been bludgeoned with a pickaxe multiple times in the head. The authorities are notified, and when they arrive, they also see the horrifying scene that Lorenz was telling them about. They see that there was food recently made and a fire was going, but they were able to figure out that they had been murdered days earlier. So where did the food and the fire come from? Someone had been living in the house for days after the murder,
chilling in
with
there
the bodies. Not only this, but the livestock showed signs of being taken care of during this time as well. Maybe someone hoping to make things appear normal as possible so they wouldn't draw any attention to the farm, or just a guilty conscience, who knows. The police had a working theory that perhaps a drifter had staked out the home, or maybe even target of opportunity situation.
Okay.
Murdered the fam, got some food, place to stay, went on his way. But when inspecting the barn, police found large sums of money inside that were left untouched. And I put here, do people keep bags of money in a barn usually? Because apparently there was just bags of money in the barn.
Back in the spring of 22...
Anything went back then. Yeah. After eliminating other suspects or theories, they were left with Lorenz Schlittenbauer after finding out that he had an affair with their daughter Victoria.
Oh, Lorenz.
And was believed to be the biological father of Josef, the baby that was found murdered. However, later on, it was discovered that the baby was actually a result of incest. That's right, Andreas Gruber was actually the father and grandfather of little Josef.
Oh, great.
Some reports also say that Victoria was mentally handicapped, but not confirmed, so this might have made her a little bit more vulnerable to something like that, unfortunately. Yeah. The investigation into this massacre eventually led nowhere, and since 1922, many people have tried their hand at this twisted mystery, but none successful. And with this case taking place so long ago, it only gets harder to solve as the years go on. Little side note too, when the family was going to be buried, the coroners removed all of the heads for inspection and evidence collection, and somewhere along the way, all the heads were lost. Nobody has any explanation where they went, how they got lost, but they were all lost and never found, so the whole family was buried headless. To this day, it's never been solved, and nobody has much hope for it either.
Sounds to me like it's a inside job.
What does that even
Okay,
mean? The
that's
cow did
terrible.
it? What does that
First
even
off,
mean?
There was a couple of things you said during it, or you said there was dead silence when the repair worker came to the farm. Thought that was a dead silence. There's a reason it's called dead silence. Sadly, these people were dead.
Yes.
Thought that was very fitting.
Okay.
Just something
Yeah, that was
I
just a
picked up
happy
on.
accident. Yeah, didn't mean for that, but yeah.
Knowing
The only thing was the dog going crazy inside. That's the only
Yeah.
thing, which is why it was let out.
right.
But then,
But
who
here's
let
the
it
thing.
out?
That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say is the knowing the facts beforehand, and then you bringing up that fact about how the dog was inside barking and then was outside on a leash. It gave me little chills for a second.
Yeah.
Because it's like this murderer,
The call is coming from inside the house.
pretty much, but
Yeah.
like he was right there. And he was like, I need to shut this dog up. And the question is, was the murderer still in the house when the neighbor went over to check on them?
That's what I was thinking. Like, I feel like, so something I was going to say now that we're in like the like discussion phase of this is that because this case is so old, this could very well be, and we will never know. Oh, it was exactly 100 years ago?
What?
This case was 100 years ago. I just
Oh.
not thought about that.
22, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, you're right.
that's really weird.
Yeah.
So, especially in that case, when it's that old, we have no firsthand experience, right? So this
Right.
could be just easily a game of telephone, and there's
Yeah, a lot
so
of
many
details
details
getting
in this
lost.
that could be made up. We have no idea. The
Lost in
dog
translation because
that
it's
dog
in Germany.
thing could have never happened. It
Yep.
could have just been something that somebody said along the way to make
True.
it seem spooky. The livestock being taken care of, that maybe wasn't true either. We don't know.
Yeah, I think here's what I haven't actually thought about this case in a while, but when you're just right here hearing it again, I'm kind of just thinking because of how I'm assuming the government works over in Germany back in the early 1920s, they're going to be in business, I suppose, with the farms because that's where the food is going to be coming from.
Okay.
So if for some reason this farm had a ton of cash,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure the government was wondering, was that for the government? Were they owing the government some money? Is it possible that the government's like, there's no reason you should have that much money when we're helping support you? I don't know exactly,
Yeah.
but I know that the government and farmers work hand in hand to provide typically for
Yeah.
people. I guess they provide the outlets for farmers to reach more of a public or something. But when you add in the fact that the heads, like the only pieces of evidence really collected from the bodies, are just missing,
Yeah.
that is where I would get into. It's an inside job where somebody inside
But see, we don't, right? We'll just never know.
We can't, no.
We can't think that this has ever not been done before. Like, people's body parts and evidence have gone missing.
Missing, right.
Especially back then. There's no way to log anything or track anything. But I'll just kind of, I don't want to make this like, since we spent so long during the banter part of this about supernatural stuff, whatever. But this is another case where that has been brought up. I didn't mean to stumble upon that.
Oh, sure.
But
yeah.
a couple different places have mentioned, like, where do those footprints come from? How do they never come back? Like, how do they, then on top of that, there were signs that each person was individually lured to the barn because everybody was found in their nightgown. So there's no signs of them being killed in the house besides the maid and the baby. So I didn't want to get too far into this during the story because it's just like, this is different people's take on it. But they think that somebody lured them into the barn one by one. How they did that, I'm not sure. Whether they made it sound like something was happening, whether they were crying help. But it sounds like the dad was the first one to go out, then the mom. Like, they're taking them out individually.
Right, yeah.
and then stacking them. So I don't know what the stacking was for. Maybe they got OCD, type A, I don't know. I'm not really sure. But
yeah, I mean, that is why this one, there's just no answers to it.
Yeah, and there never will be. There was apparently a university, like, group of students or something that was doing, like, I don't know what you call that, where they have, like, a big project that they work on during their, like, thesis or whatever kind of thing. And, like, this was their big project, was to try and solve this case. This was probably, like, 10 years ago or something. And they apparently have narrowed it down to one person that they cannot name because they can't prove it. And they don't want to, like,
defame.
Yeah, defame anybody.
Yeah.
And their family members of the person that they think did it are still alive, so they can't really say anything.
Right. Yeah, that
but
makes
apparently
sense.
they know who did it, apparently. So anyway.
And so, I mean, that kind of takes away now from the, the allure
But I don't
of
know.
it,
But how
because
would you
if
even know?
That's the thing, is
Yeah,
how would you know that
so-
it was that person?
And how do
Now-
we know half of
now,
this shit happened? I don't
Granted, it to me, similar to old shows like CSI, it was never who did it that was intriguing to me. It was, how did you come to that conclusion that that person did it?
Yeah.
What are you putting together?
Oh,
And that's
exactly.
what I would love to know out of that study or investigation from this university, is what pieces they put together, whether pieces of evidence that we don't know about that they were able to have access to.
Right.
And I will actually probably look into that after this, because I'd like to know just how they could come to the conclusion that this one single person.
The few videos and articles that mention it didn't mention how they came to it.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's out there.
Yeah.
That was just one of the things I wanted to throw in there. I probably should have done a deeper dive on that.
Well,
But
again, it could be a situation where you can't actually convict anybody. You're not even going to mention the name of who it is. And so what is, if it's a university, is it really worth putting out there if there's nothing that's going to come from it?
Right.
Maybe it's just a little scientific
yeah.
study group.
And as much as I want to believe all of the creepy details, everything, the newspaper, the keys going missing, the
How do we know
sounds in
for
the
sure?
walls, the footsteps in the attic,
Even the footsteps coming in,
Everything.
but not the footsteps going out.
and the maid that died, that was her first day at
Right.
work. Like, that's just a weird coincidence to me, that, like, your first day at work and you're murdered. Like,
And
that's
the
just,
question. Is it a coincidence?
Yeah, I
Or
don't
do
know.
we know if it's the maid's significant other,
Yeah, I mean, who knows, right? I mean, I don't know what that motive would be. I mean, we could really take this so far. But,
Well, if we do know,
like, why the freaking baby? And, like,
if
really?
there was cash being stored in the barn,
That wasn't touched.
then the theory that I'm about to go into goes out the window.
That's okay. But you know what? These are the kinds of thoughts we need. We need to really, like, I mean, we could go crazy. Pushing these thoughts really to the extreme every time. Like, what if,
Yeah.
what if, what if?
I mean,
Once again, 100 years ago,
Unless-
most likely we'll never know.
honestly, it could be like a famicide type thing where somehow there is a distant relative that had it out for them because of how successful maybe their farming business was going, and
Yeah. I
they
mean,
said, you know what? I'm not even here for your money, your money, your mother.
Your motherfucking money.
I'm not here for your money. I'm just here, and that's why it's such a brutal, murder, one at a time. And maybe they've been there. That's why they knew how to, get places without being detected.
And I'm going to also throw this in real quick. A lot of people really were quick to blame Lorenz Schlittenbauer, the farmer neighbor,
Yeah,
right? Because he also had his own farm.
And the possibility of...
Then you found out about the affair with
Yep.
Victoria. I mean, there's a few different things here. And then it's also weird that if the dad knew about it, that he was, like, talking to him, like, frequently and, like, kind of friendly with him. But, like, maybe he didn't know. I'm not sure. But then there's also the people that point out, if this guy lived in the house, whoever this culprit is, man, woman, whatever, for a couple days, there's no way that this guy, Lorenz Schlittenbauer over there, he had a wife and kids too,
would be able
was
to be
able to
out
run
for 3
his
days.
farm
Yeah.
and also somehow live at this guy's farm and do his farm duties and somehow
Without
go
questions
between.
being asked.
Yeah, just
Yep.
weird. So there's really no proof of that. There's no proof of anything, honestly, but I don't know who they would be able to point to. Those
Loren's
universities.
wife, who knows?
Yeah.
I doubt she might have been able to kill. I mean, maybe.
I know. Who knows? Maybe she was a burly woman. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, this is why I've liked this one, because there's a lot of unanswered questions, similar to that Diane Schuler one. A lot of unanswered questions. You just know some details, but not all the details.
And when you're hearing these damn footsteps in the attic, but there was nothing in the attic apparently, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Apparently it's just a big open space, like there's nowhere to hide. So where did you go? Like, I don't know. Anyway, there's stuff like that, like hearing tapping sounds in the walls. Well, that could be bugs.
Paranormal.
That could be whatever. No, I'm not even stretching that far. No, that could be anything. But the keys going missing, once again, we don't even know if that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Because that could just be a creepy tale that somebody decided, you know what, make this really creepy. I'm just going to add this in. And then the story kept going. And then they added weird stuff like the dog. And then, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
knows?
that
It's
is the
so
question
old.
is, who, I mean, think about it.
I have
There's
memories
no
like that.
surviving people of this, right?
Right.
So who's telling this story about how there was a newspaper that they don't remember being
Right.
there?
Maybe he told it to Lorenz, right? Because remember he went
Right.
over there and he was like, this is really weird. Maybe that's who he told
So-
everything to. So Lorenz is the liar.
Here's the thing, is where it could really come down to, based on the fact that there wasn't, forensic evidence back then.
Yeah.
Everything is based on what Lorenz said happened.
Yeah.
You would think that, and the
Repairman guy. Yeah.
And so you're going off of just two people saying what they encountered.
Yeah.
And you don't, I mean, that's it. The
Yeah.
repairman didn't even see anything. So who's to say Lorenz didn't find, maybe they were all sick or something, Maybe they got poisoned somehow from something. And Lorenz took advantage and said, fuck you guys, I'm taking over the rest of the farming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who knows? We're going to have to call that guy up. You know what? I'm taking that back. I don't want to offend his family. We're not going to release his name anymore. We're just going to call him L from now on.
Okay, all right, L. But I guess the farm became a tourist attraction. This was back in the day. If you guys ever listen to any old true crime, you've heard of, like, things are weird. Like, they would set up... there's another case that I'll think of later. But anyway.
Perfect.
Sidetrack here. What I was going to say is back then, things like this, gruesome murders, were not as treated with respect like they are now, kind of. And even now it's questionable.
Yeah.
But back then they would set up like food carts outside of like murder homes and stuff because people would come and want to see it. They would sell
like a
merchandise. Yeah, exactly. Yep. They would sell pictures. They would sell, some people, even depending where the murder happened and what was involved in it, would take off pieces of stuff. Like if somebody was buried that was like a famous murder, they would take pieces of their headstone until it was gone, and then they would have to replace the headstone, like weird shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget this is also the time of day time in the world where like someone who was 200 pounds would be traveling on a carnival to be paid to be looked
like
at.
A woman with a beard and stuff, like all that
Biggest
stuff.
man in the world, and he's like 250 pounds.
Or like a little person was looked at as like a freak show or whatever, like that kind of stuff.
So they kind of glorified weird things.
So that same thing kind of happened with this farm. People came and looked and were like able to go in the house and stuff, and eventually
get this stack of hay here.
Yeah, eventually it was like torn down and stuff because it was just a hot mess.
Yeah,
but
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to know what everyone else thinks could have happened. There's a lot of different things to consider. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to look into that university study to see what they think. I don't know. I just like to see what evidence points to who.
Pending if there is an actual investigation that happens, which who knows, they probably can't release what evidence they have. So I don't know how much will really be out there. I don't know.
Who knows? Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Luckily, I don't think we have to worry about offending anybody that's been directly affected by this crime. So it doesn't feel as weird saying thank you.
Yeah, true.
I am going to be covering the next case.
Yes.
And it's going to be a good one. I can promise you guys that. It's been a while.
Have you already picked one out in your mind?
Oh, I've got like 7 of them. I think.
God, okay, guys. Okay.
Believe that.
All
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you have any supernatural stuff that you want us to discuss on the next Microdose episode, be sure to leave a comment or, again, I don't know if I mentioned it. I kind of posted it on the Instagram story, but we got video back. So we are back on the YouTubes, and I'm doing the robot for those of you who cannot see.
Maybe we shouldn't be back on the YouTube. Anyway.
God, I'm joking.
Good.
It's fucked up.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
This has been the True Crime Banter podcast, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Adios.